Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Homestead Miami Speedway for race number 2 of the Lodgebox series here on REI Racing live on Twitch. Appreciate everybody checking us out and joining us here. This awesome race we're going to have tonight. Big race of the season after we kicked it off last week at Daytona. And we're heading from the high banks of Daytona International Speedway to the palm trees of Homestead Miami Speedway. With many tracks to choose from, the state of Florida shines as bright as the stars. So we're looking forward to an awesome race here tonight at Homestead, and joining me up in the booth is our producer Harold Darner, as well as Ryan Swan, driver of the Northern Capital Truck Series in the number 1 truck. Ryan, how you doing, brother?
Oh, it is great. It is nice to be kicked back after a long race last night. I broke out the shades. I broke out the shorts. We are live in Miami. It is great to be here.
The weather's not as great tonight in our virtual Homestead track. A lot of overcast and clouds out there. It's a lot darker looking than it should be already, right? Because we're going to be transitioning into night as the race goes on, but it's already looking pretty dark out there. Here's our weather presented by Lottie'sTravelWorld.com. Looking at the overcast sky with an air temp of 78 degrees and a track temp of 80 degrees, so still a little bit of heat in that racetrack, making it slick for those drivers. Relative humidity up to 43% and winds from the east at 10 miles per hour in our beautiful Homestead Miami Speedway that we're going to be tackling here tonight. We got 21 drivers currently in practice right now. You see them on your screen racing around the racetrack. 8 minutes left in this session, and then we'll move on to our qualifying session where these guys are going to have 2 laps, 10 minutes to make 2 laps in qualifying and determine where they will start for the 130 lap feature. Of course, Ryan, a little different tonight. We actually ran 140 laps in the truck race last night, but went through some changes, decided we're going to lower the laps by about 10% in every single series. So we're got down to 130 laps for the Xfinity race tonight. But as one of those drivers out there with you, Ryan, last night, how was the truck race, and what do you got about Homestead Miami Speedway that you think some of those drivers can take into tonight?
Well, unlike the national tire shortage our local racers have right now, it's kind of felt like that last night, you know. Too many laps and too short of tires, and I think the powers that be, I think they shortened the race up for us from now going forward. So that's after last night, I mean, I am definitely appreciative of that. But as for Homestead itself, just kind of comparing it to last night, I think we had a little bit more of a drastic change in track temperature and whatnot. We had a little bit more sun out during practice session and qualifying, and then faded over into night. So it looks like they kind of have a more closer comparison for the practice and qualifying for the race. So I think it should be pretty fun to watch. These guys look like they're having a blast.
Yeah, it's a good point. With it already being so dark out there, the track is not going to change too much as it did last night. With the tire sets in all 4 series here at Area iRacing, these guys get 3 sets of tires in the pits, so they'll have an opportunity to come down pit road and get 4 fresh tires only 3 times during the race. And with the laps we were looking at and the time to, we'd like to be done and out of here by 10:30 on the East Coast, and we're already pushing past 10:30 most nights, and that was with the low caution counts we've had. And speaking of the low caution counts, one of the things I think we should be really, really proud of in this league is we have had 6 nights of racing so far officially on the season across all 4 series. Every single night, we've had at least 1 round of green flag pit stops, and I think when you consider that we were at Daytona last week and then Homestead this week, it's pretty impressive for these drivers to be able to keep it clean.
Ryan, I was gonna say exactly that when I got an opportunity to jump in. That that's amazing. A brand new league with all these different drivers from different divisions, different leagues, and all. And you guys are putting in great shows, green flag pitch stops in all 6 nights thus far. But to see if the Xfinity series, the Lodgebox series, can continue that streak.
Exactly, and with the low cautions too, they've been trying their best to get the race in and get out of there, but the laps were just a little bit too long. Not too much. We lowered them by about 10%, which ended up being around 15 laps at most of these racetracks. So we were actually initially scheduled for 150 tonight. That got knocked down to 130. Tomorrow night's race will also be 140 laps. So that'll be the trend going forward on the 1.5 miles. But practice is kind of getting closer and closer to the end here. Number 14 at Conor Ocrecman. He actually races for Go Slow Racing. Missed last week at Daytona, wasn't able to make it with his schedule he had, and right now he sits on the top of the practice charts.
Oh yeah, I definitely expected him to be very fast. Also, some other guys who kind of stick out to me, Cameron Hearn, Obviously, us having past experience racing with him, we obviously kind of knew that he was going to be fast. He needs to be one to keep an eye on this year, along with Ocrecman. Some other guys who had pretty good runs last week. Larch is in there. I see Garrett Grant. I think he blew up last week, so looking to bounce back. So it'll be fun to watch these guys come through the field.
Garrett Grant was a part of that awesome strategy we saw last week with Samson Motorsports. Ultimately, I think it was one of the first times we've ever seen a team dominate a restrictor plate track like that. Their pit strategy was absolutely off the charts. They were able to cycle in front of the lead pack. I think we only finished with about 10 cars on the lead lap when it was all said and done. Samson Motorsports, of course, that team made up in the Lodgebox series, consisting of James Shanewolf in the number 83. He's one of those drivers for Samson, as well as Garrett Grant and Ed Robertson. Those are the 3 official team drivers for them. But of course, they had some affiliated drivers running last week at Daytona, including Curtis Balmer, the team owner, David Weishart, who is not here tonight. I think he's feeling a little bit under the weather, so we'll have to see him tomorrow night in the Cup Series. But going back to that Samson Motorsport strategy last week at Daytona, they were able to really muscle around the racetrack. And then at the very end, you were just touched on it, less than 10 laps to go, the motor on the number 5 of Garrett Grant just let go. Wasn't able to get the finish he deserved there, kind of put him behind in points early on, but ultimately we'll have a chance to rebound here tonight at Homestead. I almost said Daytona.
We'll have to watch that Samson team as well. Obviously, we're going for team points here. I believe we're going up against pretty much head-to-head with VRA to kick off the season. Obviously, they worked their magic to perfection last week. Let's see if they'll keep up the momentum.
And a funny note there you make with the VRA, there was only one other engine that expired last week at Daytona, and it was the VRA machine of Alan Ellwood. So those two teams with similar circumstances last week at Daytona kind of actually even out the points a little bit. You look at the team points, I mean, it's neck and neck. And actually, the team currently leading the team points is Go Slow Racing with Ricky Springer and Conor Ocrecman and Rafe Slate, as well as Kyle Sieg, who's not here tonight. So it'll be Ocrecman, Slate, and Springer, those 3 drivers for Go Slow. But they are actually the top team right now when you take a look at the point standings. So among all the dominance we saw from Samson and the strong run we saw from VRA, it's actually a pretty close race at the top of the team points, but a long way to go until we get to the season finale at Phoenix. Looking forward here to the end of practice as well, with just 2 minutes left. Of course, with the mention of the season finale at Phoenix, want to kind of touch on the playoff structure a lot of these guys will see. And going into Phoenix, or going into the playoffs, it's actually going to be a win and you're in type of scenario. So with the win last week, Daytona for the number 54, Chris Seidefeiden, he's technically locked into the playoffs. And I'm sure that's a pretty good feeling after the first race of the season to already know that you're locked into the playoffs as long as you remain in the top 20 in points and you're able to make 9 out of the 12 races of the regular season. You'll have that spot in the playoffs. So pretty good feeling for the 54 team, I'm sure. We got just over a minute and a half left here of practice as we're going to start winding it down and get set for qualifying.
Yeah, and a guy like Seidenfaden winning that race, off of a couple seasons I've raced with him elsewhere. I just know that once he's locked in playoffs, man, he can be a dog. Yeah, obviously some mistakes can slip him up, but it's very rare he makes mistakes. So gotta watch out for him whenever the playoffs come.
So you'll be able to catch all of that when we get to that point. Obviously, long ways from now, but right here on this Twitch channel, I want to give a shout out to everybody watching, tuning in. We're already up to 20 plus viewers, I believe, on the Twitch stream. So appreciate everybody checking us out here at Area iRacing. And we get to bring you these cool shots like this in-car shot we got right now for the end of practice here with the 13 of Andrew Player, Concord, New Hampshire. Get to ride on board with him tonight. He's going to be one of our drivers with an in-car cam.
I'm gonna hold on to that thing.
There you go. You see him leaning. That's one of the things you see in real life when people are sliding sideways. They start leaning to try to fix it, and he even had the lean going in VR there.
Boy, let me tell you, if they put that VR headset on me, I would be all over the place. I couldn't. I don't know if I'd be able to handle the VR headset either. I think I'd get like motion sick or something.
VR headset's best to get a fan on you. Because if you put a fan on you, it kind of helps out with that motion sickness going on because you got something like wind moving on you. But I had VR for quite a while, and it really puts you inside the car, though. It really does.
Well, well, that, and then you got about, I mean, going into the corners and stuff, man, I'd have neck kinked up and, cramped up, and I'd be a mess.
Well, it's really cool to have when, like, even on the super speedways, you can actually turn to the left and look, where you can't do that in any other way. Even turning that left button doesn't seem to work. You can turn your head all the way around, look out the rear window. But
practice just finished a few seconds ago. Conor Ocrecman in the 14 was able to take the top spot. And now we're going to jump over to qualifying with 22 drivers on the card here tonight. Actually, Kyle Sieg, a late entry in the number 39 machine. We'll get a chance to watch these guys qualify a little bit, see a few cars on track already. The first one we see is the number 56 of Nick Trader, part of that One Mind to Design Motorsports crew. Last night they had a great run, actually. Him and his brother, Drew Trader, were able to put on a pretty impressive run for their new race team over here in area. Of course, Nick is the only one running the Lodgebox series here, but looking like he's going to be a strong guy to compete with the remainder of the season as he starts his qualifying lap up against the wall on lap number 1. Like we're going to switch over to the 59 here, Ryan Honeycutt. The later drivers to join us last week at Daytona in the Cup Series is also going to be joining us here in the Lodgebox Series on Wednesday nights. Coming on board with him. He didn't look too
How
happy
about that? How about that? He's got an old Trent Ivy shirt on. I hear you, bud.
Wow.
He looked like he wasn't happy with the way his car took off because he's shaking his head.
Saw that too. I saw the look of disappointment he had going into turn 1 there. Got some lap times coming in. Ricky Springer in the 51 jumping to the top of the charts right now with a 33.63. And Honeycutt coming to the stripe to finish off his first lap. The Hendersonville, North Carolina native is going to go to 8th on the charts, so I could see why he was a little disappointed there.
Were you guys hitting the limiter yesterday? Because I see that red on that limiter going off.
No.
Pretty bad down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, I guess you were. If you got a good run, like on qualifying, when you were really wound up, you could get there into the red on the RPMs. Nicholas Trader in the 56 going to jump up and take the top spot. He's riding on board here with Honeycutt. This time he's shaking his head yes, so maybe he's got a good lap here. And he does. He's going to jump to second on the board with a 33.36. We see the 51 of Ricky Springer is the car we see there on the top right of the screen.
Yeah, they got to send us back into the main screen there. There we go.
There we go.
Boy, right up. Oh, he's actually in the wall here.
There you go.
Looks like me last night.
How about the 19? Rick Christensen now going to the top of the charts. What a run for him. He's able to take the pole time. I actually saw Facebook post a little bit earlier today talking about his run in the ARCA series and said he was picking Cameron Hearn's brain a little bit going into tonight's Lodgebox series race. He said he would pick his team owner, Garrett Grant, but there's not a lot of brain to pick there. Me laugh when I saw that.
Brutal.
It was a little brutal, but you can get, I guess, when it's your relatives.
how about this car right here, man? You know, he shows up last week in a blank lime green car, goes out and wins Daytona. He's went out, got some paint on it, and has stuck a Miami sticker on there.
Talking a little bit earlier to Chris Sidified, and I said the same thing. I said, wow, you won Daytona, and we couldn't get no funding going into Homestead. Can't believe it. So he's got the Miami colors on the car. Now you're right on board with Andrew Player as he's starting his qualifying run in the number 13, the Pony Setup Shop Ford Mustang.
I can't wait to see his form, how he goes in these corners and don't slant his head to the left. I'd be all over the place, like I said.
Using that high line all the way up against that wall. Being in the VR headset, I found it a lot easier to run that high line, being right up against the wall. I noticed when I was running with monitors that I was still, quite a distance away from the wall. But once I got the headset on, I was able to gauge looking out that right front fender as you turn your head just slightly, gauge that wall.
Complete his first lap here in the number 13. It's going to jump up to only 19th right now on the charts. But of course, second lap should be a lot quicker for these guys. So we'll see what he's able to come up with here on lap number 2.
Something that was really interesting that I know struck me and you last night was how many lines you can use to get around this racetrack. It's amazing, all the way from top to bottom. It's just, there's so many racing grooves. throughout the practice, I ran on the outside, but it felt like the bottom was so much faster. It was just a little bit loose for me, so I wasn't really comfortable down there. But it was really, really interesting to see all the lines ran.
Here is going to jump up one spot in qualifying on his second lap. He's going to jump up to the 18th position. To touch on your point there about the racing last night, there was really like 4 different lines you could choose from: the top, the middle, the bottom, and then some people were even working the very bottom on that white line. So with the distinct choices of lanes to run in, there's a lot of different options and a lot of racing grooves these guys were working. I anticipate to see the same tonight as you see the number 49 of Alan Ellwood, Toyota Supra, working turn number 3 on his first lap. I believe this is his second lap for the 49 car.
Trying to see why we're not getting his feed here, because he was one of the drivers that did give us one. Yes, we don't have a feed for the number 49 tonight.
How about that? He jumps to the top of the charts, though. Alan Ellwood with the late qualifying run.
Wow.
Gonna jump and take the pole. Yeah, good margin, too, over Christensen.
How about Alan Ellwood, man? Obviously blew up last week. We expect him to be quick this season. Out there in that Valvoline Supra, looks awful sharp.
And that's Ellwood Designs putting that together. We expect to see a little bit more from Ellwood Designs and Alan Ellwood. We got a little bit of a deal worked out with them, so you guys can stay tuned on our social medias for that. You guys can see that in the Twitch chat below. It's going to be at Area iRacing on all social accounts. But with Brian Dixon, the only remaining car left to make a qualifying run, I believe he's going to elect to start in the rear tonight. So pretty good chance Alan Ellwood's going to be our pole winner here with that 33.22 qualifying time. Rick Christensen, Cameron Hearn, Ryan Honeycutt, and Shane Theron rounding out our top 5. And we'll get a chance to take a look at our starting grid here in just about 3 minutes when we get set to line up for our green flag of tonight's race 2 for the Lodgebox series at Homestead.
Hey, Ryan and Jake, since you guys are both running yesterday in that system, let me know, what do you guys thought about, because I know in a lot of the official races with that kind of distance, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to got a pin or a caution here and I'm going to change tires. But, how does it work when, you start looking at, oh man, we're going to go green?
I think a lot of us, just try to split the race up based on the tire sets. And that's kind of what we saw last night. Had 140 laps with 3 sets of tires. You can come in and get that fresh set of tires, lap 35, lap 70, lap 105, and it splits it up into 35 lap runs. Well, flip side to that, and that was kind of a lot of the issues we were all feeling, it is not a fun feeling when you put your last set of tires on the race car with 35 laps to go still. So that added another layer of anxiety to a lot of these drivers and trying to deal and manage your tires. And, last night with the late cautions we had, starting with under 10 to go on 20 lap or so old tires was just a different kind of feel. And it just, put the drivers on edge a little bit, which is kind of what we hoped for. We kind of realized that if we keep doing that and adding laps, it's probably not gonna pan out long term.
On the flip side of that, man, I actually got a little ballsy last night and kind of went on my own way and saved the tire set until 20 to go. I felt like I had a pretty good strategy going. I was in the lucky dog spot until I absolutely had to pit, and unfortunately that time came, and I think the yellow fell about a lap later. So I had those tires available for me, but man, it just didn't work out.
I was wondering if somebody ended up doing that last night, and I guess we did have one that did.
This would be really, really hard to get those, to save that set of tires with all the green flag laps we had. To answer some of the questions we're seeing out there in the Twitch chat, these guys are going to have 3 sets of tires in the pits tonight. So they'll have the set they start the race on, and they'll have the opportunity to come down and put 4 fresh tires on 3 different occasions. So a total of 4.
Going back to Rowdy. It was Harold. I was the one messing up the 1 mind 2 designs last night, and everybody else got it right. So, Jake, he's just saying that you got it right the first time, but that was because you never messed it up.
To be fair, I got a little bit of advantage. I'm the one talking to these guys day in and day out. But One Minded Design, very happy to have them, racing in our series. They do a great job on social media. I'll even give them a little social media shout out. It's One Mind to Design Motorsports. You guys should follow their channels. They do some really, really cool graphics before the race every single night. nice little race recap as well on their social media channel. So it's an honor to have them racing with us here in area. And in the Lodgebox series tonight, we'll have to keep an eye on the number 56 of Nicholas Trader.
We get Ryan Honeycutt jumping out of his car and into Twitch. We appreciate that when drivers come back and talk to us. And he was saying that he appreciated us having his in-car where we saw him, one, having a disappointment, then coming back with elation for being into the second spot. So we're going to do the grid now.
It's a good sign when they're shaking their head yes coming to the start-finish line to end their second qualifying lap. So we'll get a chance to look at our qualifying grid and how they're going to stack up here for tonight's 130-lap race at Homestead Miami Speedway. Starting on pole, the number 49 of Alan Ellwood, and starting in the second spot just on the outside of him is going to be the 19 of Rick Christensen.
How about starting third? We got the number 15 of Cameron Hearn. On his outside, we got the 59 of Ryan Honeycutt.
Row 3 has got the hardest names in the field. We got Shane Theron on the inside, and then Conor Ocrecman's going to roll off 6th.
How about last week's winner, Chris Seidenfaden in the 54, rolling off 7th, alongside of Nicholas Trader in the 56.
Shane Wolf is going to roll off 9th, and Reed Wilson rounding out our top 10 in tonight's starting grid.
Rolling off 11th is going to be the 64 of Ed Robinson, and Ricky Springer in the 51 will roll off 12th.
For Bouchard is going to roll off from the 13th starting spot, and starting 14th is going to be the number 6 of Michael Larch.
Rolling off 15th is going to be Rafe Slate, and looking to bounce back from last week is Garrett Grant in the 5.
We're going to have to keep an eye on Garrett Grant coming from the 16th starting spot. He'll certainly be a factor before it's all said and done. Rolling off 17th is going to be the number 32 of Lane Doyle, making his series debut tonight alongside another guy making his first start of the season, Jordan Berry in the 57.
And back in the back in 19th will be Andrew Player, and rolling off 20 is our good pal, Kyle Sieg.
Rounding out our field, our final 2 starters are going to be Dean Prince in the number 99, and then Brian Dixon in the 33 will roll off 22nd, and that'll make up our field for the 130-lap race. Got a little bit of a stack up here on pit road, watching these guys get off of the grid. Ricky Springer in the 51 just yet to leave a spot, and everybody was kind of waiting on him. Almost wanted to get up there and start pushing him, but he is rolling now and on the racetrack, so we should have no issues getting all 22 of these guys lined up and ready to go. Alan Ellwood, the number 49 for Virtual Racing Alliance, is going to be our pole sitter leading us to green.
What you think, Jake? We had a wide open field last week. You got a favorite this week?
We haven't had our pre-race picks all season long. For some reason, we just kind of haven't been doing that, but if I had to put my name on somebody, and this is a little bit of insider information, I've heard he's very, very strong here at Homestead. I'm going to go with the 15 of Cameron Hearn.
Well, I'm going to actually go with his teammate that's starting right in front of him, Ellwood, as we come to the green flag.
Go. Alan Ellwood. Go ahead, Harold. You can get it in.
I was going to go with Ryan Honeycutt, the number 59 tonight.
Go. Green flag is out. We are underway here at Homestead for the Lodgebox Series, race number 2 of the season.
See Hearn already taking it to the bottom line over there in turn number 2.
Not a great start there from Rick Christensen. He started second. He's already back to 4th. Hearn's going to jump up and take that second spot away, and he's chasing his teammate down into turn 3. It's a VRA first and second, and it looks like Hearn's trying to make quick work from that 3rd starting spot. His driver is a little bit sideways there off the corner of the slick racetrack as the sun's just now starting to set here in Miami. It should be completely cast in darkness by the time we get to the checkered flag. Alan Ellwood's going to lead lap number 1, followed by Cameron Hearn. Ryan Honeycutt's going to move into 3rd, and we see a trend of single file racing through much of the pack. First battle we see is going to be around the 10th spot, and it's a 3-wide move.
They are actually nearly 4 wide with the 64 here of Ed Robinson. That was nuts. 69er Reed Wilson with a real aggressive move there on the bottom side of the racetrack. Gets right around the 64 and the 28. Now he's working on Nicholas Trader there in the 56, so we'll have to keep an eye on all this battle. It's still single file up front. Got a battle and a new fastest lap. Cameron Hearn setting the pace right now in the 2nd spot. These guys, you talked about it earlier, Ryan. Got one on the bottom, one against the wall, another guy there, the 28 of Bouchard working the middle lane. Now there goes Rafe Slate with a good run off the top side of the racetrack, making a 3-wide move. Gonna bury it down onto the bottom in turn 3. He's able to clear the 28 there. Looks like Christopher Bouchard kind of backed it off there. Realized we're early on in this race, just gave him the spot. Rafe Slate's actually going to clear that position, and he's going to move up inside the top
13, make that 12. He's going to move into the 12th spot. Battle for the lead starting to form up. It's Alan Ellwood trying to fend off Cameron Hearn.
Going to be a tight battle here between the teammates as they head into turn 3. You know, I wonder if the 49's going to race him real hard on these opening laps, or is he just going to let him go? Because we know Hearn's fast.
Well, I think, honestly, Hearn had the opportunity to take the lead at the start of the race, working the first lap, but he wanted to leave that 49 up front so he can get that lap lead and get that bonus point. Because ultimately, these guys are teammates, so each point goes into their bucket for their team championship standings as well. So he gave Alan Ellwood that first lap, if I had to guess. He'll lead lap 1. Look at Honeycutt fighting the wheel there off of turn 2. He's the guy running third right now. He's watching this battle between our two leaders.
Keep an eye out on the 56, I believe. He has dropped multiple positions since the start of the race. He gridded up 8th. He is back to 14th. Don't know if he's got a problem going on.
Kind of got his hands full right now. He's still under attack from another driver. It's the 6 of Michael Larch who's going to tuck in line behind him. But yeah, you know, it's a great point. A lot of these drivers, though, we've seen, you know, the tire saving strategy kind of varies. One of the best at it, in my opinion, Garrett Grant, one of the guys I touched on right before we got the green flag. He started 16th. He actually dropped a spot as well. He's down to 17th for the moment. But, you know, if this race goes green and we get a green flag pit cycle in, which seems to be the trend so far this season, I anticipate seeing that number 5 and potentially the 56 making their way back towards the front. They might just be saving tires.
Absolutely. If we know one thing about Garrett Grant is he will not stay there very long.
Kind of fanning out right now for the moment. Almost completely dark now. There's just a little bit of sunlight left over those clouds we see over the turn 1 and 2 wall. Lights are on, though, on the racetrack. Still up front, no change for the lead just yet. Cameron Hearn just all over the back bumper of Alan Ellwood as they work through turn 3 and 4. You see good battle here. It's the 69 of Reed Wilson and the number 8 of Rafe Slate battling for 11th as they come off of turn 4.
Yeah, Rafe looks like he's moving up pretty quickly. He's up 4 spots now, so the 8 car obviously looks pretty fast on the short runs. Let's see if he can save those tires and keep it up.
Saw a 3-wide move earlier by the 69 on the 28. This time it's the 28 of Christopher Bouchard who made the move on the bottom side of the racetrack, trying to force a 3-wide position. Getting there for him. Not quite able to make it 3-wide, but he will take the spot away and slide right up in front of the 69 there, Reed Wilson. These guys are racing real hard outside the top 10, Ryan.
Yeah, you know, I think after last week's race, you know, Reed was a little bit fired up. So obviously that 3-wide move earlier in the race, you know, maybe showing who he is and what he's got. So, I mean,
I'll have to pay attention with the aggressive racing and whatnot, you know, is the tire strategy, right? We're going to see if these guys are going to have the tires on the long run. That'll really be the key who wins this race, I have to believe, just based on what we've seen so far this season, and especially the way this Xfinity Series car is made, our Lodgebox Series, I should say. These things just are really, really tight. They got a lot of power behind them, and taking care of that right front is really important in these cars, more so than any of our other 4 series.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what has happened to Garrett Grant. He went from 17th to 21st in a lap. Just watching the scoreboard here, it's pretty drastic.
Number 5 there, Garrett Grant. I don't see any damage, I believe, on the 5 car. I don't think he got into the wall or nothing like that. Right side seems to be okay. We'll probably get a better angle here in a moment. But you're right. I mean, to drop back to 21st, he's only in front of 1 car. It's the 33 of Brian Dixon. Not exactly sure what happened. I mean, maybe he's aggressively saving tires, if that's a thing. He's working right now outside of the top 20, so we'll have to keep tabs on that. Alan Ellwood, though, continuing to show the way, but I'm telling you, Cameron Hearn is just all over the back bumper. He's not letting him get away whatsoever. He's just still our nose to tail there as they work off of turn 4. And we still see some battling throughout the field.
Just kind of watching these two, though, they have checked out.
Well, I think one thing that's helping Cameron Hearn right now is having that car in front of him is kind of keeping him from pushing it over the limit as far as tire conservation goes. So he's able to just kind of push Alan down the straightaway and somewhat kind of drafting around the racetrack. But you're right, they've worked out to almost a 2-second advantage over 3rd place. Oh, yeah, and guess who 3rd place drives for? That's another Virtual Racing Alliance machine. So they got the top 3 spots locked up for themselves for the moment.
Noticed yesterday that once you guys were out in the clean air, that was like the front 2 or 3 cars would take off, and it looks like the same thing is happening today with about 2 seconds over the front 2 cars back to the 38.
Yeah, I believe last night was Brad Slaughter, also a VRA car, and tonight it looks like the other 2 are showcasing that ability.
I think this might be something that we can kind of count on seeing throughout the season in this Lodgebox series. It's going to be hard for me not to say Xfinity series, but this Lodgebox series and our Sim Speed Shop Cup series on these mile-and-a-half racetracks, I think clean air is just going to be king, and that's going to be something that we'll see as a trend for the most part of the season when we go to these mile-and-a-half racetracks. But I'll have to see with Shane Theron now moving into third over Ryan Honeycutt if he's able to start chopping into that lead a little bit of his teammates. Getting our first look, though, at the 57 machine of Jordan Berry. He's having a solid run so far. He's just outside the top 15, but racing with some really talented drivers right around him. He's got Reed Wilson behind him, Kyle Sieg in the 39, getting our first chance to see him this season as well. And that, I believe that's a Chevrolet. It looks like a Ford, actually. And look at him slide off of turn 4 there. So it'll be interesting to keep tabs on a lot of these drivers. We've got some really, really talented drivers in the field, kind of sprinkled throughout, and a lot of guys who are just kind of making their marks in league racing. So it's a good mix, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the season pans out. You see Jordan Berry working off of turn 2 there, the 57 machine. He's keeping it clean so far. It's going to be important to keep all the fenders on that race car here tonight at Homestead Miami Speedway. We got 15 laps, make that 16 laps now in the books. Alan Ellwood continues to show the way for VRA.
Just looking at some of these guys towards the rear of the field, I'm noticing the 69 in particular, Reed Wilson, looks like he is super loose. And then on the flip side of that, it looks like Garrett Grant's finally coming in. So,
well, once we got past that like 15 lap mark or so, you know, that's kind of when the tires will start to fall off. I think you nailed it there. Garrett Grant now, he's moved up from 21st. He's got around Reed Wilson for the 19th spot. So we'll have to see where that run kind of goes for the 5 machine of Garrett Grant as he's working off of turn 4 there. Reed Wilson, though, kind of going the opposite way right now, Rod.
Oh yeah, and I'm not sure if he's had some damage or whatnot, but he is just like Trader. He has dropped back quite a few positions here. It looks like he's down 11 spots on the start of this race.
The number 69 has been providing us with some fireworks by sliding her up into the wall quite a bit tonight. 3 different times I saw him come off of turn number 4 and throw sparks for us.
And obviously,
that might explain why he's dropping, because once you get damaged, I think the Lodgebox series cars are worse than any other. I mean, when you get that right side damage, crinkled defender, it's about killed from there on. Need to cut you off there, Ryan. What were you saying?
Oh, I was you hit me word for word right there. You know, I was saying that these cars, and it feels like the trucks. You know, you hit the wall, you're pretty much done for. I mean, I feel like I hit it 3 or 4 times last night. I thought I had engine damage, to be honest, but
it just makes for a long night too. So I mean, especially early on, like, you know, when we're working only within the first 20 laps of a 130 lap race, any sort of damage, and you know, you're off pace initially there, it just makes for a long night. For the first time though, just saw Cameron Hearn in second kind of peak below the 49 of Alan Ellwood. He's actually got a really good run formed on him here. I think we might be seeing a change for the position finally at the top of the leaderboard as the 15 keeps kind of peaking lower and lower on his teammate.
I think if this thing goes green, these two are having a plan put together to just make this race for themselves, you know. I mean, normally we have that kind of stuff at like super speedway races between 4 cars, but these two, I mean, they keep it up, they're going to be checked out and gone, and ain't nobody going to be able to catch them.
What I was going to say, too, is it's funny you mentioned that, because let's say it does come down to those two. Worst case scenario, they do take each other out. Well, the guy in third is also a VRA car for them, so he'll take it over and win it from there if everything worked perfectly. But long way to go still. Over 110 laps left on the leaderboard. We got Nicholas Trader, the 56. I actually just saw a report from our True Trader in the Twitch chat here, so the brother of Nicholas Trader, probably on the pit box for him. He said he's fighting a loose condition, waiting for the track to come to us over here in the One Mind to Design camp. So that's kind of the status update there on the 56 machine. working outside the top 15 for the moment, but like he said, the track's going to start coming to him the darker it gets and the cooler the track temp is.
We have got a car on pit road right now. The 69 of Reed Wilson has surrendered and came down pit road. I'm not sure if this is just to repair damage or what he's doing, but hopefully this isn't him calling it a night. Not a good start to the race for the 69. Already 2 laps down recorded already.
Look here, Garrett Grant now. See him working on the bottom side of the track against the 13 of Andrew Player. I think we kind of called it a little bit earlier on there, Ryan. I think he was playing it patient and just conserving those tires, but ultimately he's got a long way to go. He's over almost 10 seconds back from our leaders right now, the 15 and the 49, and just got in on the iRacing service. It looks like Reed Wilson is pulled it into the garage for the night.
Yeah, that's hard. You know, he was in that lead pack before the Samson cars came flying in last week, and you know it's hard to see that. You know, there was a couple guys over the radio just frustrated with the guys they were working with, and they lost that race, didn't have a chance to win it with those 5 cars going by, and obviously this week he's the first car dropped out. So not a good start to the season so far, but he's got plenty of races to try to bounce back.
Who's had a decent start to the season. You're riding on board with him right now. It's the 51 of Ricky Springer, kind of filled in last week for the Go Slow Racing camp and performed really well. He actually won the pole, ended up finishing 8th. He led a few laps at Daytona last week, and it's been pretty interesting to see how Ricky Springer has performed there in the 51 as he's working in front of the 64 of Ed Robertson. Ed, another one of those guys who's in that Samson Motorsports team that we've been referring to, running right behind the 51 there. Those guys are just inside the top 10, and to work their way through tonight's race at Homestead, you got Alan Ellwood continuing to show the way, but some good battling all throughout the field. 25 also, so we can kind of expect to see pit stops here in the next 10 laps or so. You know, if it's anything like last night and you try to split it up into quarters with those 3 fresh tires or 3 sets of tires you got in the pits, you can anticipate probably seeing people come down a lap, you know, around lap 32 or so, and then 65, and then 97. That splits it up to about 32, 33 lap runs. We'll see if maybe somebody tries a different strategy by short pitting potentially earlier on in the run, or trying to stretch the fuel. It probably got about 40 laps of fuel, I'd say, Ryan, in the tank.
Yeah, you know, and obviously fuel's a big factor, but man, like I said earlier in the broadcast, the tires here, man, they're like gold, to be honest. Just coming down pit road, getting them is obviously stretching it last night did not work.
If you take a look at the lap times that we're seeing, you know, we qualified in practice. These guys were running low 33-second lap times. Right now, they're working 35+ seconds a lap. So, I mean, that's a 2-second drop-off in just 27 laps of racing. So, you can see the difference. You know, when you come in and get those tires and you're running 2 seconds a lap faster than the rest of the field, you're gonna feel like Superman.
Oh, yeah.
And Cameron Hearn kind of peeking to the inside of the 49, but not making the move yet. I thought eventually we'd see the 15 get around him with, you know, maybe potentially better tires by kind of riding in line and using, you know, without forcing your car as much, but he's kind of stayed even with the 49. I think Ellwood's done a good job of pacing this field so far tonight. Thing to look at, though, is the lap times. Look at Conor Ocrecman with a 34.8, about 0.3 quicker than the rest of the field that last lap. Maybe the 14's one of those guys we'll have to watch when it comes to tire saving.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Another thing I'm starting to see is this group behind them, you know, was kind of tight together, but now the single cars are kind of starting to spread out. I know Shane has put out about a second ahead of Ryan Honeycutt now, so it's like we're getting even more spread out, and these two are just going to pull away even more.
On board there with the 6 of Michael Larch, but the 14 of Conor Ocrecman. We didn't really touch on him too much earlier in the race, but man, he done a good job. He's still, I mean, consistently making that quick lap time. He ran a 35 flat, fastest car on the track again. So that 14 Just got around the 83 of James Shanewolf. We'll probably see him start making his way into the top 5 here just before we get into our first green flag pit stops, which I could expect these cars coming down any moment now.
How about fastest in practice for Ocrecman too? I mean, that was really impressive.
I think he's got the speed in that race car. It's just a matter of getting the track position and, you know, making sure that you're in the right place at the right time. It's 100 laps to go, though, when they hit the stripe, so we're working through this race relatively quickly already. One car coming down pit road for the first one. Tonight's going to be the 99 of Dean Prince. He's going to be the first driver to hit pit road. He was running 21st at the time. See a little bit of right front damage. He got into the wall. Easy to do here at Homestead. Not an easy track whatsoever to run that high line, but he's going to come in and get 4 fresh tires on that M&M's machine.
If you blink and rub your eyes, that looks like an old Kyle Busch car there.
It's the 64 of Ed Robertson, trying to listen in to see if we got anybody else coming down pit road anytime soon. Don't see any takers. Still a little bit early, maybe 3 or 4 laps outside their window that they would like to come down.
The max we could go last night was what, 35, 36?
I think we could probably push almost 40 laps of fuel. I believe 39 was the number we were working with, so it'd be similar tonight with the same amount of fuel in these race cars. Probably, and if you saved and you tried to make it, you could probably push past 40 laps, but you're not going more than that. Been a calm race though. I mean, we had some aggressive racing earlier on, some 3-wide moves and whatnot, but for the most part, these guys have kind of settled in. We're going to take a chance to look at our lap times here now. You see everybody now running mid-35s, our leader with the 35.2, Ocrecman with a 35.2 as well, but we got the 99 of Dean Prince, who's just now coming back out onto the track with those fresh tires, and it'll make a big difference. He's actually right behind our top 3 at the moment. Or excuse me, he's right behind our top 2. So if we get with the 99 here, you'll see the speed difference on our camera here. There he comes, the M&M's car.
I'm going to go ahead and toot the horn, bud. Here comes Grant. He's up to 11th from being 21st 10 laps ago.
10th now. He's up to 10th now.
He's rolling. He's got the 5 in the wind.
Look at this 99. You can see the speed difference on your TV screen right now. The guy just came down pit road. Dean Prince did in the 99 machine, got those fresh tires a handful of laps ago, and he's racing. The second place car you see in front of him is actually Cameron Hearn. Right in front of him is also going to be the 49 of Ellwood. It actually looks like Dean's trying to be a little conservative, though. He doesn't want to force too much on the leaders and trying to make an aggressive move, so he's playing it patient, which is really smart there in the number 99.
I've seen earlier he has made some contact with the wall. I'm not sure if he sat in pit road and get that fixed or not, but it doesn't look like it. He's still got some right front damage on it.
We had the 51 of Ricky Springer come down pit road as well for Go Slow Racing. So he's the second car we've seen hit pit road yet. There's the 28 of Christopher Bouchard. So it's going to start getting pretty busy here on pit road. 54 just got the call from Chris Sidefiden. He'll be coming down pit road this time as he's working turn 3. The bottom car you see there in the pink and blue machine, the 59 of Ryan Honeycutt, our 4th place driver. We'll get a chance, I think, here. Maybe we can ride on board with Ryan Honeycutt as he comes down into pit road, and we'll get a chance to see what it's like to do a green flag pit stop here. Working turn 2 in the Hendersonville, North Carolina natives, number 59 machine, that Ford Mustang. And on the back straightaway, he's had a pretty solid run though, Ryan. He's not left the top 5 all night.
A very good run for him, you know. Didn't say his name too much last week, and running inside of the top 5 here, it's pretty impressive out of this fellow North Carolinian.
He probably didn't say his name too much last week because he didn't run the Lodgebox Series race. He did run the Cup race though. He's a late addition.
I knew I'd seen him somewhere.
Yeah, he ran pretty good in the Cup race actually. He was up front for a majority of that thing. But working lap 37 now. I'm kind of shocked we haven't seen more of these guys taken down to pit road with the way the tires kind of space out. You know, if you wanted to cut it into quarters like they did last night, you would have already been on pit road.
That was close. I know we've seen it right there. Christensen almost got the right rear and almost got into Ocrecman right there. That was close call again. He
actually just had another close call on the racetrack. The 13 of Andrew Player And the 57 of Jordan Berry made some significant contact to the outside wall on the exit of turn 2. Not enough to bring out a yellow there, but I mean, it was a pretty good shot into the outside wall. That 13's actually lost quite a bit of time and has some damage on the right rear of that machine. The 57 Jordan Berry didn't fare off too poorly, but nonetheless, there's contact there coming through turn 2. So those drivers are going to be next on to pit road, I'm sure.
Look at the handwork in the 59 coming off of turn 4 right there. Oh, man.
Conor Ocrecman, though, we talked about him earlier, how quick he was on these long run, and he's shown it now. He's passed the number 59 and the 19 of Rick Christensen, so Kresick up to 4th now.
Just got a call over the radio that the 13 of, I believe it is Player, if I'm not mistaken, is coming in.
Also got the 32 of Lane Doyle, as well as the number 6 of Michael Larch. Player is on the bottom side of the track. I'm not sure if he's going to be coming in or not. It looks like he's got a decent amount of speed rolling through turn 4. He's going to stay on the racetrack. 59 calling over the radio. He had a scary encounter, so we'll have to see what that was about, maybe. He just got really loose through turn 2. Nothing major there. He's running 5th still, and he's right in front of Rick Christensen. I think these guys are due to come down pit road any minute now.
I'm noticing something pretty big here.
Oh, how about that? He's in the wall right now. Oh, in a big wreck. That's going to trigger a caution flag, surely.
Wolf involved.
Caution. Ow.
Does a caution come out?
Oh, it was right below the white line there, so iRacing didn't trigger a caution. I can't believe it. I mean, it was a close call there, but...
We were running 59. On board with him when we saw everything from both sides real on the racetrack.
The 83 of James Shane was one of those drivers involved with heavy damage for both of those guys, too. Even worse, to add insult to injury, no caution flag, so they're going to lose multiple laps now. 49, Alan Ellwood, our leader, is going to be coming down pit road. Actually kind of started to grow his lead a little bit over Cameron Hearn, just over a second now, the advantage for the 49 machine. He's dropping down onto the apron. He's going to pull it down to pit road. One of the last cars to come down pit road, really tight there, to get everything he can to get down and into his pit box as quick as possible. Really got a close call there with the wall. Conor Ocrecman, the number 14, now going to jump up front and be the new leader here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. We got the 56 as well making the call down to pit road. You see the 19 of Rick Christensen already on pit road as well. So only a handful of guys still yet to make their first pit stop of the night.
He got in there a little hot, but I guess not.
It was close, but I think he was able to woe it down in time. It was tight, though. He got everything he could get.
Yeah, he's good to go. No wait. Him and the 15 are off clean.
I think Cameron Hearn actually cut into his lead a little bit just from getting on pit road quickly. There you see the 14, Conor Ocrecman, our leader for the moment, coming down pit road. He's bringing the 56 of Nicholas Trader behind him, so that's going to cycle the lead over to Rafe Slate for the moment in the number 8 now. First time tonight we get to see him up front. He and the 39 and the 57, I believe, are the only 3 cars yet to pit so far.
They're showing 44 laps, you know. So they're definitely stretching the fuel run out. I wonder how many laps they can actually go.
I think these guys are going to try to make it on 2 stops instead of 3. So that's kind of why we're seeing the stretch that we're seeing now. He's coming in now. Our leader, Rafe Slate, is going to cycle the lead over to Kyle Sieg. So did you notice what happened there, Ryan, in those last 3 laps?
What's up?
Go Slow Racing cars went the longest they could, and they cycled the lead 1, 2, 3. So Kresick got a lap led, bonus point for him. Then Rafe Slate got a lap led, bonus point for him. And now they cycled it over to Kyle Sieg in the 39, and he'll get a lap led. So there's 3 bonus points just like that in 3 laps for the Go Slow Racing team.
He's slow down the back straightaway. He may be out of gas.
Out of fuel, yeah. He is no acceleration at all in that race car right now as he's working through turn 3 and 4. Now pulling it down on the pit road. That machine's probably going to be sputtering. Get a better look here. Yeah, he's barely able to hold 48 miles per hour, 50 miles per hour. So it's definitely sputtering on him. So there's our limit. We found it. 45 laps of fuel is the most these guys can go under green.
With something like that, though, you kind of have to ask, is that lap worth it?
I mean, it's essentially a position on the racetrack, so it's depends how much time he loses, right? If he comes out and he's almost a lap down because of that mistake of running out of fuel with half a lap left, then no, I don't think it was worth it. But if he didn't lose too much time, I think that bonus point could go a long way. Every point matters, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. But obviously, I think he carried pretty good speed going into 3. I just worry about getting from his time in turn 3 to pit road. Did he lose an atrocious amount of time?
We'll see. Ricky Springer, one of the associates over there with Go Slow Racing as well. Now he's cycled to the lead, but he was one of those earlier cars we saw on pit road. So he has already made his pit stop right now, and he's actually got a 2-second gap over Alan Ellwood. Hit it about 10 laps before him, so I think the tires will eventually catch up to him. But overall, decent strategy call there to try to switch it up a little bit for the 51, and he's going to be our leader here for the next few laps.
Well, in that case, I guess we could say all the Go Slow, even if he's not running for points, all the Go Slow guys slid a lap.
Exactly. Working through turn 2 here, Andrew Player. Saw a little bit of contact earlier in the night, about 10 laps ago with the 57 of Jordan Berry. That's where you see the right front damage for Andrew Player in that machine. That's what's ultimately led to him losing, I feel like, a lot of time on the racetrack. So he is actually currently the first car 1 lap down, as he's just behind our leader. He's actually going to make the move to try to get around Ricky Springer and get his lap back. With this strategy that we saw, though, Ryan, with a lot of these guys pushing towards 45 laps before they came down and made their first pit stop, these guys might be able to make it on just 2 stops versus 3.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting, especially the guys who, the Go Slow guys in particular,
This battle we got, sorry to cut you off there, but we got a battle for the lead forming up in quick order. Alan Ellwood on the back bumper of Ricky Springer, and he's bringing his teammate Cameron Hearn along with him as they're getting through the lapped car of Andrew Player. We got a battle for the lead side by side through turn 1 and 2.
10 laps on tires is that much of a difference between the 51 and 49 and 15.
Yeah, he was 2 seconds back just a few laps ago, and now he's got the top spot, and Cameron Hearn able to clear him for second. James Shanewoolf, one of those guys we saw in the earlier contact incident with the 59 of Ryan Honeycutt. He is still on pit road in the 83 machine, getting that thing fixed to the best that they can, and he's going to go down now 8 laps down for the 83 of James Shanewoolf, posted 21st in points, or 21st on the racetrack right now, so right there for James Shanewoolf, and Ryan Honeycutt ultimately too is back down to 20th now after running top 5 for most of the night.
I'm just noticing something here. Looks like the 49 and 15 are putting a pretty blistering pace, Obviously, we see Springer second back, and then I guess his name is Therion, 4th, 3 seconds back. Then you get back a couple more cars. They're upwards of 10 to 15 seconds back already.
One thing I'm noticing here, Ryan, that I think we kind of missed when that whole incident went down with James Shanewoolf and the machine, or no, this was a separate incident, I believe. The 19 of Rick Christensen, you see it on your screen now. He got sideways, and the 5 of Garrett Grant hit him in the rear end, and that actually has quite a bit of damage on the front end there. The number 5 machine of Garrett Grant, I think he slowed that machine mightily. Yeah, that's a decent shot.
That's big damage, and that's going to slow him down big time for the rest of this race.
You see him driver for Samson Motorsports in the Northern Capital number 5 Chevrolet. Damage on the front end of that machine. Thankfully for the 19 of Rick Christensen on the opposite end, he actually was the one who got hit. On the back end of that machine, I don't see too much damage as compared to the 5. See the right rear is a little crinkled in on that Infinite Gaming Ford Mustang. Want to give another shout out to Infinite Gaming, one of the only esports organizations we actually see involved over here in area iRacing. So it's kind of cool to get a chance to see some different teams, and Infinite, one of those esports organizations, entering Rick Christensen here tonight in the Lodgebox series. But kind of cool to see the interaction with the esports world as Alan Ellwood continues to show the way, and something we saw a lot earlier on in the night. Cameron Hearn right there on his back bumper. You know what I just realized, Ryan? Make it 7 nights in a row now. Well, 7 races in a row with a green flag pit stop to start the season.
We are red hot. Somebody's going to have to put a bounty on us for no green flag pit stops in a race. I hope it never happens. I hope we go through the season and always have green flag pit stops. It's an extra element to this race. It makes it a whole lot better. Obviously, some guys are kind of stretched out, but pretty entertaining to see these guys fly on the pit road and get off and see how they come out.
Look at the leaders right now. Again, I feel like a broken record saying it, but Cameron Hearn was right there on the back bumper. I thought he was going to make the move finally to get around Alan Ellwood. He didn't do it. Tucked back in line, and once again, we see these guys just kind of drafting in the form around the racetrack, but see them peaking lower and lower on the 49.
You know, you got to think these two are in each other's ear right now. Obviously, third place is their teammate, but they've got to be working out something. They put on the same lap. They are sitting here running side or right behind each other, so they got to be working something. They know what they're doing.
You know, Cameron, after the Cup race, was talking about that the team at Daytona, the team had a plan for the VRA guys and worked great on the Cup Series. And they said no holds barred, 2 to go. So I wonder if that's the same strategy they have tonight.
I'll have to see if they can make it that far to the end. And I mean, if they can make it to 2 to go and continue running bumper to bumper like this, that would be a pretty impressive feat. We still got at least 1 more green flag pit stop, potentially 2, but I think those guys are definitely going to be working together as much as they can. I'm just more surprised Cameron Hearn hasn't made a move just to try to get up front and start leading laps and take away that extra bonus point for most laps led, because right now it's looking like it's going to be Alan Ellwood.
Well, we haven't had our first caution of the day. I want to shout out one of our sponsors there, Jake.
I was just kind of looking through our partners we got over here, and I want to give a shout out to Northern Capital. Obviously, we were looking at the Garrett Grant machine a little bit earlier on, but I thank Russ Anderson and Steve Anderson of Northern Capital for their support of the Northern Capital Truck Series and all of us here at Area. You guys can catch all the broadcasts for every single Northern Capital Truck Series race right here on this Twitch channel, so make sure you guys are following along and subscribing to watch all of these races ad-free. But a big shout out to Northern Capital, Russ Anderson, Steve Anderson, all those guys over there that helped put this whole thing together. We really appreciate it.
Like he actually just went around the 28 of Bouchard right there, so 5's still kind of moving forward with that front end damage.
Yeah, you know, I think it's going to be tough. I hate to say it this early on in the race, but I think that kind of just eliminates his shot of winning when you look at how clean the rest of these cars are. Another one of those cars that's really tore up, though, you see the leaders going around him. It's that 59 machine of Ryan Honeycutt. A bunch of damage on that race car. We saw the incident happen live. We were actually riding in the car with him, but that car is really, really off pace right now. The leaders are running a 34.4, and he's running a 36.9. So 2.5 seconds off pace. Nicholas Trader, though, the 56. You were talking about him earlier on in the night, Ryan. He dropped back outside the top 20 there for a moment. He's back inside the top 10 already.
Yeah, I think the guy in the chat said he was fighting a loose condition. Well, maybe it swung back in his favor.
Definitely came back to him. They said they were waiting on the track to come to him, was their exact words earlier on in the night. Seeming like, I guess, when the sun goes down, the later it gets, the cooler the track gets, it's starting to come to him. And we actually have a battle for the lead this time. I'm not joking about it. This time it's for real. The 15 of Cameron Hearn finally making the move underneath Alan Ellwood.
What do you think here? Do you think the 49 sticks on him like the 15 did, or does the 15 check out?
I don't know. Look, we're on lap 61, so we got 70 to go. I think that the clock was kind of ticking in Cameron Hearn's head that if he wanted to get those extra bonus points for leading the most laps, he would have to start soon rather than later. So with 70 to go, he makes the move. I don't think that was necessarily those two trying to together. I think Hearn is trying to race for that extra point on his own right, on his own merit, essentially, and trying to make the move when he deemed fit. To the bottom, gets right around the 49. New leader Cameron Hearn here at Homestead.
Very nice. They've built up a 5-second lead over their teammate, and also 10 seconds to the next car, who is a little bit behind on tires. So big lead here for
yeah.
the two VRA cars.
We'll have to see if we saw what happened in that first run with the 14 of Conor Ocrecman. Was really making some lap times there at the end. Was actually the quickest car on track that last half of the first run. We'll have to see how the lap times kind of start to stack up when we get towards the end of this fuel run. But right now, Cameron Hearn, Alan Ellwood, Shane Thurin, it's a 1-2-3 for Virtual Racing Alliance. Ricky Springer in the 4th spot in the 51 machine. We saw him come down pit road a little bit earlier than the rest of the field and kind of cycle out in front of him. Conor Ocrecman, but rounding out the top 5, and then Chris Seidefeiden, the winner from last week at Daytona, putting together another solid run tonight. You see the 14 making that move around the 51. This is going to be for the 4th spot. Conor Ocrecman's going to use the high side. We haven't seen a lot of people making their passes on the high side of the racetrack. It's been a lot of people making their move down low to get around and make a pass for position, but Ocrecman with a nice run down the back straightaway. He's going to take away that spot pretty easily over his teammate Ricky Springer. Behind them, you see the 54, the Miami colors on that race car. He's already caught back up to the 51 of Ricky Springer. I think that 54 is starting to get a little hot as the sun goes down again, like the 56 that we were talking about a little bit earlier, who, by the way, Nicholas Schrader up another spot now into 9th, so that 56 is looking pretty quick.
What do you think next week for that old 54 right there? You think Lakers colors, or you think something different?
No, we go to Auto Club next week, the big 2-mile track, and I feel like that's a little too far away for Lakers colors. I probably would go back. I mean, that all neon car looked pretty sharp last week, especially when he was doing donuts at Daytona.
Everybody loves a good old blank highlighter car now.
We just passed halfway, so we're going to go through a quick rundown through our top 10 right now under green flag here. Cameron Hearn for VRA, the current leader. We just saw him make the move on his teammate Alan Ellwood a few laps ago. 5 laps led, make that 6 now. The Valley, South Carolina native who's got the Lordstown Motors colors on his machine. He's currently our leader here at Homestead. Moving on to 2nd place, Alan Ellwood. Looking scheme there by Ellwood Designs, of course, with the Valvoline colors, the 49. The leader, the pole sitter earlier on in the night, he led a good chunk of this race until just a handful of laps ago when Cameron Hearn made the move. But the 49 right now currently sitting in 2nd and keeping that machine clean. He's got a big gap over 3rd place.
OH. Back up to 3rd place, Shane Thurin here, also for VRA in the 38 car. You know, hasn't lit a lap yet, but he's been solid all night, right there in 3rd place out of Lewistown. I think that is Massachusetts. Watch out.
It is.
And also back to 4th place, Conor Crush here for Go Slow Racing. One of the fastest cars out there tonight. Keep an eye on him if there's a yellow. I think he's going to put down some very fast lap times on this later run.
He's kind of matching lap times right now with our leaders up front. Back to the 54. We were talking about the colors on this race car earlier. The winner last week at Daytona with a great move there on the last lap to steal the victory away from his teammate. A solid run, though. That 54 has kind of been slowly creeping towards the front as the laps go on. He's up to the 5th spot from New Albany, Indiana, so we'll have to keep an eye on him to see where he ends up when the night's all said and done. And then right behind him, one of the most consistent drivers we've seen so far in this Lodgebox series, Rick Christensen. Solid qualifying run after a solid practice session. He actually started the race in the 2nd spot. He's fallen back to 6th. We saw a little bit of right rear damage on this machine with contact earlier on with Garrett Grant, so we'll have to see if that slows him down too much. But right now, a solid night so far for the 19.
How about back here in 7th, Springfield, Illinois, Nicholas Trader. Obviously, earlier today, we've noted it a couple times that he was fighting a loose condition. Looks like the track has favored him. He's now at the 7th place, looking real good out there right now in the 56. And also back here, right behind him in the 8th position for Samson Motorsports, Ed Robertson looking to follow up his great run at Daytona last week. Looks like he's solidly inside of the top 10 as well. Roughly about 19 seconds back.
And right behind him, you got the number 8, Rafe Slade, another one of those go slow racing machines who's had a solid performance tonight. In the solid rock performance, Chevrolet, the Eatontown, Georgia native, is way inside the top 10. We actually got some pit stops starting already. Kind of caught me off guard there. It's the 54. Chris Seidefeiden is hitting pit road. So we'll go ahead and we'll get through Michael Larch here. He was one of the last cars in the top 10. He's now up to 9th with the 54 on pit road. Larch, the track racer Chevrolet, part of JW Racing, who's running a little bit of this season so far. I'm happy to see him and having a solid night right now. Cutting back to our pit stops, though, the 54 Chris Seidefeld. I was wondering exactly what was going on with him. I saw a few laps earlier, the 19 of Rick Christensen actually got around him with a pretty substantial run. And then a few laps later, the 54 decided to come down. And I mean, these guys just pitted about 30 laps ago, so it's a little bit earlier on in the window than you would think for a scheduled stop. I get the exact number here. Chris had made his first pit stop on lap 35, and then he came in once again here on lap 70. So maybe he's one of those drivers with the 3-stop strategy instead of trying to stretch it on 2 stops. So potentially it was a scheduled stop there for the 54. See how that plays out. You know, I was wondering earlier in the night, Ryan, when we mentioned that this could be a 2-stop race potentially due to fuel strategy, if anybody was going to try to do the 3-stop strategy and potentially try to take advantage of the, you know, the better tires and the lap time. I mean, we saw a 2-second drop off in terms of old tires versus new tires. So I think it can be done. We're going to have to see how it all plays out.
It's going to be tough. I would think they have to get about 20 more laps if they're going to try that. If I'm not mistaken, some of these guys, like, let's see here, what is it, 14, and some other guys who stayed out for a really long time, like Rafe and some others. But, yeah, I mean, they got to go upwards of probably 15, 20 laps now for even it to be a possibility. But how much time are they going to give up? You know, the 15 and 49 already had 10 seconds on third. 54
just came off the pit road, and he went for a huge slide through turn 2, and he gave up a lot of time on that. I mean, he was sideways and drove it all the way down just about to the grass. You can kind of see it there a little bit as these cars fly by, but went for a huge slide, went through the grass a little bit, and gave up a lot of time on the racetrack. So I don't know if that'll probably hurt his 3-stop strategy situation that he's in, because with the better tires that he has, he needs to take advantage of that ASAP and just make as quick lap time as possible. And that slide is not going to help.
Really good run going for one of these guys who oh, whoa, we got a car blowing up right in front of the leader. I believe that was a 59 of Honeycutt.
Yeah, the 59 Ryan Honeycutt. I believe the engine let go on that machine. He's going to try to pull off the track here and get out of that race car before it triggers a caution. So tough break for Ryan, man. He was having a good run earlier on. We saw him qualify 4th. He was running inside the top 5 and just through turn 4, bounced it off the wall, and unfortunately he was along for the ride there, and it made for a really tough night. And looks like the engine finally let go. I actually want to update you guys on James Shainwolf as well. The other driver we saw involved in that wreck, he is retired of the 83 machine. So we got 3 retirees already. About over halfway through this race. Ryan Honeycutt, James Shainwolf, Reed Wilson are all in the garage for tonight.
Should have about 19 cars still left on the track, all the way back to Mr. Prince in the 99 M&Ms.
Yep, we got 19 on the track and only 11 on the lead lap as Cameron Hearns laying down some pretty quick lap times. The next car in front of him is going to be the number 57 of Jordan Berry, the last car on the lead lap for the moment. But Shane Theron, I think we missed it with all the chaos we saw happening there. He had to have came down pit road. I just want to double check before I make the call out. He did, yeah. So Shane Theron, the 38 car, he's another one of those guys trying the 3-stop strategy. And Ron, I kind of like that call. He's offsetting his teammates there in the top 2 that are clearly going to try to make this race on 2 pit stops. And he elected with the 3-stop strategy to try to make up that difference. And you see him there working around the 15 of Cameron Hearn. He is 1 lap down right now, but he just got his lap back.
Definitely. And I think another thing to keep note of with the 2, especially the 2 guys who were out front, Ellwood and Hearn, does Ellwood pit a lap earlier and try to jump Hearn and get in front of him again? You know how long it took for Hearn to get by him the first time?
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. Yeah, I think what's funny about that is, you know, these guys call out when they're coming to pit road a lot of times. You know, maybe Cameron Hearn or Alan Ellwood, they might not call out when they're coming to pit road because of that, right? They want to get on pit road 1 lap earlier than the other. So it's kind of a little bit of a chess match within this race tonight. But, you know, I mean, I'm watching the 38 right now. The lap times he's clicking off almost 2 seconds quicker than the leaders. think that strategy, the 3-stop strategy, might really pay off dividends when it gets down to the end of this race, Ron. Have substantially better tires.
Oh yeah, for sure.
These 2-lap strategy guys, I see them coming down around 85 to 88 to have less than 45 remaining in the race.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So we'll see those guys that are elected on the 2-stop strategy making their final pit stop of the night. But then again, one thing that can throw a wrench into this is if we do end up with a late race caution, you know, those guys that are elected to come in with the 3-stop strategy are going to be sitting without an extra set of tires in the pits for a late race restart.
I think we got new signee for the Lodgebox series on pit road, Lane Doyle. I believe he is sitting on pit road getting service right now. So I believe he may be on the 3-stop plan on this race as well.
It's a little early. I agree. I think it's a little early to come in for a 2-stop strategy. I don't know if you'll make it off 50 laps on fuel. I don't think there's a chance, actually.
When we ride for JW Racing, nice to see them participate tonight.
Speaking of the 3-stop strategy, you just kind of want to document it so we can kind of lay it out for you guys. Shane Tiernan in the number 38, the 51 of Ricky Springer, and then we just saw the 32 of Lane Doyle. I believe those 3 drivers are the only 3 that we've seen elect, and and also the 54 of Chris Heidefied, and those 4 drivers are the only ones I think we're going to see on the 3-stop strategy. Everybody else, though, going to try to stretch it almost to lap 88 or so before they make their final pit stop. Here's my thinking here, Ryan. I'm not good at math, so you might have to double check me on this. And these guys are almost 2 seconds quicker a lap on fresh tires, right? They are pitting and making a 3-stop strategy versus a 2-stop strategy. That means they'll have fresher tires, you know, for an additional 30 laps there at the end. They could probably make up that 30-second gap. I mean, it'll be close. You know what I mean? I guess there wasn't really a formula to that, but I think the time that they'll make up, you know, having those fresh tires for an extra 30 laps there at the end, it'll be tight.
Yeah, and also another thing is the 2 leaders out front. I mean, obviously they had 10 seconds on the field or whatnot. They are, I guess, banking on having a caution at the end and having that set of tires left over.
I think it'll be close even without the caution. You know, I think the time that you'll save by not making that extra pit stop will kind of offset the time you would make up by having those fresh tires. Be close. The caution at the end, like you mentioned there, that's going to be huge having that extra set of tires.
This might be a big boy play from the 38 of Theron.
That's what I'm starting to think as well.
Watch the interval. People watching on Twitch, just watch the interval for 9th place right here in the next couple laps before they pit.
It's making up a lot of time, and this is after, you know, already 10 laps or so after he's came down and made his pit stop. He was making up even more time the first 2 laps.
You got to think he passed them 3 laps ago.
You see Garrett Grant, Ed Robertson, the 2 Samson Motorsports drivers now making their potential final stop of the day as they are entering pit road 8th and 9th right now. We saw the damage on the front end there of the number 5 a little bit earlier after contact with the 19 of Rick Christensen. He's in his box as well as the 64 of Ed Robertson. Looks like the 49's a little slow on the track. Oh no, I thought he was coming down pit road. Wow, there's issues, I think, on the Alan Ellwood machine right now.
Not 2 weeks.
He's way off pace off of turn 2. I believe the 49 is out of fuel entering turn 3.
Oh, this is critical mistake for the 49 here.
He was slow coming through turn 1 and 2. There you see the leader, Cameron Hearn, hitting pit road. The 49 of Alan Ellwood must be out of fuel trying to stretch it on the 2-stop strategy. Wow.
Over to Christensen.
I saw that back there. That 19 came in a little hot. There, and the barrel's down. There's Cameron Hearn pulling into his box. Alan Ellwood is still, I mean, he's just slowly crawling down pit road right now. To the right side of it. Rick Christensen, who we saw barreling in, actually is going to pass Alan Ellwood. That's how much difference the speed is right now. As Ellwood pulls into his box, oh no. 49 just slid through his box, and with no fuel, he's not able to back up.
Oh man.
So he's just sitting there. He's stuck. He can't put the car in reverse. They don't have virtual pit members to come out there and push it backwards.
He is probably going to be done, and that is crucial. Running so good 2 weeks in a row.
He's going to have to reset. I mean, it's no other choice. I'll be Keeping an eye on it for you here, folks.
He'll have to take a virtual tow truck, and the way iRacing works it, that is the beginning of the lap. So he's going to have a huge tow bill in time to getting back to his pit stall.
He just reset. Oh man, critical mistake there, running out of fuel, and then just compounded it by making it even worse, sliding through his pit box there. He'll be losing multiple laps here, and that's another tough break. He documented it earlier, Ryan. You know, he blew the engine last week at Daytona, trying to push in the draft, and now tonight running out of fuel. Thankfully, though, the tow is already done. He's already actually got service on that machine. He's coming out of pit road now, so he didn't lose as much time as I thought he would, but he'll definitely suffer at least a lap or so down. Up front, though, Rafe Slayton, the number 8, our leader.
What do you think about this 8 car out here, man? Staying out way longer than everybody else.
We saw him do it on the first run, and he was able to get a lap lead. Now he's actually going to come down pit road as we say this, but he should definitely be good on the rest of the laps here to make it on fuel. No questions asked. 42 laps to go. He's coming down to get service. This will definitely be his last green flag pit stop. So that'll cycle the lead over to, how about the 38 car of Shane Theron?
Heck of a strategy. When this all cycles out, he's going to be about 10.5 seconds ahead of Cameron Hearn, who will eventually be the second place car.
Remember, Cameron Hearn's on fresh tires right now, as Shane's actually on 20 lap old tires, so the speed difference is going to be substantial. In addition to that, the 38 still has to come down pit road one more time, as well as the 51 of Ricky Springer, who's on the same strategy with him. So those two will still have to come down and get another pit stop for fuel. And we'll give up a lot of time there. It's going to be a matter of can they make that time back up with the fresh tires.
We seen Allen run out of gas. What do you think about Hearn though, man? They pitted the same lap and didn't run out. But do you think he can stretch it to the end?
Maybe that's the reason right there that we saw Cameron Hearn riding behind the 49 for so long. Maybe he was saving a little bit of fuel at the beginning of the run, and ultimately that's what got him to make it to that lap. Him being by himself right now, do I think he can make it to the end? I think he should be able to. He came down on lap 88, I believe. Let me double check.
And I'd agree with you there on what you were saying. I think Cameron stayed behind him and let his teammate do a lot of the drafting, and that cost him a lot of extra fuel. And Cameron was just kind of sitting back and waiting.
Correction, he actually came down on lap 86, so it'll be a 45-lap run for him to the finish, which is what we saw Kyle Sieg do on the first run, but Kyle Sieg also ran out of fuel coming through turn 3 and 4, so we'll have to save a little, I think a little extra actually, to make it to the end. And I mean, we have two different strategies too with the 38 and the 51, as the 51 of Ricky Springer actually just got passed by the 15 of Cameron Hearn. Up front, though, our leader, the 38 car of Shane Theron, will get a shot of him here shortly. He's continuing to show the way that Cameron Hearn is running him down. About fastest lap to the 49 of Alan Ellwood after getting that car stuck on pit road.
I'm assuming he's had to tow, and he should be probably back out there now.
And he's been out there. He's only 2 laps down. It was a quick tow for him. They were able to get the car serviced and out of the pit box, but the problem is he's 2 laps down. He's got a lot of time he's going to have to make up just to even get a shot at potentially getting a free pass. So it's going to be a tough break for him. Probably eliminated his shot of winning tonight.
It's moments like these where iRacing, we wish you had pit crews to push us out into the box.
That would have been really helpful considering he was only a few feet in front of where he needed to be. Step away here for a quick commercial break on our Twitch channel. Obviously, when we do take these commercial breaks, all of our subscribers get to stay tuned live. We want to thank you guys for subscribing over here on Area iRacing, and hopefully bringing you guys some awesome coverage here of tonight's race. Also, want to remind you guys, fans are able to visit our sponsor, Swift Lifestyles, for clean supplements that help improve your focus and your gaming. Use discount code Area iRacing, that's AREA iRacing, for 15% off your entire order. We'd like to thank Swift Lifestyles for their support of the Swift Lifestyle Pro Series we see here every Monday night on this Twitch channel, so be sure to visit swiftlifestyles.com. Use promo code AREAiRacing. Maybe that's what we need, Ryan. We just need a little bit of Swift Lifestyles, some supplements for our racing on Tuesday night. Here we go. We got the 38 of Shane Theron coming down pit road for his final pit stop. This is a lot earlier than I expected, Ryan. I thought he was going to wait until lap 105. I'm sorry, this is right on cue. I'm not been good at math this week.
It's fine. We all had that. We all had our struggles in math and school. It is what it is.
Look at
A little bit
that
of
right
damage.
side damage on the 38.
Just kind of noticing that as well. The right front is sprinkled up pretty good. I mean, that's not fun in these Lodgebox Series cards. There you see Cameron Hearn, who's actually going to come around. This will put the 38 a lap down. I don't know if he's going to be able to make up that much time.
Oh, he's saving.
There you see the 38. Shane Thurin's going to come out right behind Cameron Hearn. Remember, he is now a lap down and will need to, in order to win the race, he'll have to make up 30-some odd seconds on the race leader. I don't know if he'll be able to do that. Look at the 38 actually right behind him. That means he's pushing it, right? He's trying to get all he can get to make up that time. See the 15. I mean, he drops down to that's shutting the car off basically down to 2,000 RPMs through the corner. So he's clutching it in. He's saving fuel. So that kind of tells us right there, Ryan, these guys are a little bit closer than they would like to be.
Yeah, they. I'm not sure how much. Obviously, earlier the 38 had a big advantage with I think 30 lap newer tires or whatnot. Now he's got about 10 to 12 better than Hearn. Yeah. So we're probably looking at a lesser gap he's gonna gain on the 15, but he's still gonna be gaining a pretty good amount.
Exactly. I was gonna mention there. He'll be quicker as he's making the move right now in Cameron Hearn. He'll actually use the bottom side of the racetrack coming out of turn 2. And then the 15 is going to jump right in line and try to get as much draft as he can because, like we mentioned, he is saving fuel to try to stretch it to the end. There you see it back down to 2,000 RPM, basically clutching that thing in. We'll try to save that fuel. So there we go. We got the 38 back on the lead lap now. When we get a shot of the rundown here, we'll see exactly how many seconds back he is. He's in I believe he's in the 12th spot. I think that 13th, actually. So 32.4 seconds back, Ryan. That's a lot of time to make up in only 30 laps.
Absolutely, and he's luckily for him, he is going to be wide open these last 30 laps, while Cameron Hearn probably going to be pedaling it, saving gas as much as possible. He's got a big lead, so he may be even more aggressive with saving fuel. As you got a couple guys, I believe, pitting in right here.
It's the 54.
54 in second place.
Sidified in another one of those guys on the 3-stop strategy there. You see him hitting pit road now, making his final pit stop. So again, with these guys on the 3-stop strategy pitting, this is their final set of tires. So even if we do end up with a late race caution, they don't have any fresh tires in the pits to put on these race cars.
That's unlike the leader. The 15 does have a set, and Ellwood has them too, but unfortunately he slid through the box, ran out of gas, and he's not going to be able to take advantage of that if there's a late race yellow.
A majority of our field up front actually does have that extra set of tires. Cameron Hearn, Conor Ocrecman, Rick Christensen, Nicholas Trader, Garrett Grant, Rafe Slate. Those guys all still have their extra set, their third and final set of tires in the pits. If we do get a late race yellow, it would mix things up. Those guys that would be up front would be those guys on the 3-stop strategy. So you would put, somebody like Chris Sidified in, or somebody like the 38 of Shane Thurin. They would be up front on a late race restart with older tires. It would be a show, Working here through turns 3 and 4. Correction, I believe that's actually 1 and 2. Lights are on. We're completely in darkness right now as our camera shot's covered for some reason, but there we go. Cameron Hearn down the back straightaway, working into turn 3 and 4. When he gets to the stripe, he's going to have 27 laps to go here at Homestead Miami Speedway. 15 car was racing with his teammate earlier on, Alan Ellwood. Those two were pretty much neck and neck until the 49 machine ran out of fuel, slid through his box. Just a catastrophic lap for him. It's going to put him back all the way to outside the top 15 now, a lap down. So just a tough break for those guys as Hearn continues now to flex some muscle. But how about second place? Conor Ocrecman, we talked about him earlier on in the night, was making really, really strong lap times on older tires and was one of the quickest cars on the track for a good portion of this race. Then second with a strong run in the 14.
Oh yeah, and it's been a gradual move to the front for him. Like we said earlier, he was running some of the best laps on the racetrack. We go back and look at 49 here of Ellwood, obviously a tough break to end the race for him. Is also right in front of him, the 38. I've noticed his lap times, man. He's been gaining about a second every 2 laps. He's gonna have to do a lot more than that to run down that 15.
Yeah, I mean, it would be close if he was gaining a second every 2 laps, you know, and that continued over the long run. You know, potentially he could get within striking distance, but obviously I don't know if that'll continue. He's, you know, right now he's running 34 second lap time. He's running a 34.34 on his last lap, whereas our leader Cameron Hearn with a 34.7. I mean, almost, you know, half a second a lap. It's going to be a tough hill to climb to be able to get back up there. 25 laps to go though here at Homestead, Miami.
To see some of these last lap times here, look at Ocrecman actually in second, almost a full 0.2 faster than Hearn that one.
34.7 for our race leader. AC Shane Theron back in 9th with 34.1 for him, so he's actually the quickest car on track for the moment, I believe. No, it's actually going to be Chris Sidefiden in 14th with a 33.6. Hit it a lot later. A lot of cars trapped 1 lap down. We only have 10 on the lead lap, actually, for the moment. It's going to be Lane Doyle, the 32, is going to be the last car on the lead lap. How about caution-free for over 100 laps here tonight at Miami? They only had 1 caution last week at Daytona, and it was an incident where, you know, car blew up in front of another car, kind of nothing you can do there. Tonight, caution-free, though, working lap 108 of 130. I think it's been really, really honestly impressive to watch these guys, you know, every single night here in this Twitch stream where we've been broadcasting. These guys have put on an amazing show. We haven't had any races with, you know, high caution counts. So these races have had little to no cautions, and we've saw really, really good finishes and action up front.
Yeah, little to no cautions, but high drama packed into these races. Last week, the two guys involved in the 1 caution we had were the 2 guys that dominated the night. So
exactly, yeah. So you're going to see that parity, I think, all season long. Certain people are going to be fast at one track, and then you'll see a different set of guys faster at another. But one thing I will say that surprised me this season is the emphasis on fuel strategy. It seems like every race it's came down to either, you know, when you pitted, how many tires you got left, when did you put on your last set, or do you even have fuel to make it to the end? Every race so far this season has kind of had a huge strategy, you know, involved with the deciding factor of who wins the event.
Hearn's really backing it off here as we see Ocrecman cutting into his deficit here. Pretty decent margin from what I'm seeing. You know, you can still tell he's way out of the gas there, saving. So
to call the 28 of Christopher Bouchard's coming down pit road for his final pit stop, running 12th right now. There you see him on your screen from Grass Valley, California, earlier on in the night for him. You also got the 6 of Michael Larch coming into pit road as well. The 2 is coming in, so a lot of these guys making their last pit stop with under 20 laps to go. See Larch right in front of him, Garrett Grant as well in the 5. Not expect pit road to get busy like this, Ryan.
No, I actually thought a couple more of these guys were going to stretch out just a little bit further, you know. Obviously our 3-stop guys and 2-stop guys have kind of already separated themselves, but maybe something switching up.
See the 99 of Dean Prince, he actually just came off of pit road as well, so that explains the speed difference there, and then M&M's machine, he's really, really quick on those fresh tires. Behind our leader, though, Cameron Hearn, is the 57 of Jordan Berry, who's running 10th right now. He is 1 lap down. He's actually the first car lap down. He's one of those guys who stretched it out. He pitted on lap 87, was his last pit stop, so he should be good the rest of the way. And he just now went a lap down, so it's been a strong run so far for Berry to contend with a lot of these guys. And there you see the 54, Chris Sidefiden, the winner last week at Daytona, not having the night he had hoped for maybe. But he was one of those guys on the 3-stop strategy. We saw him come in about 8 laps ago now, So he's making that fresh tires work, and he's going to be moved inside the top 10 and back on the lead lap now. So the 54 and 7th. Here comes the 57. We got a lot of drama going on around the 15 right now.
I know it's early, man, but that 14 is coming. He's 3 wide right now, and he has cut that lead 3 seconds since we mentioned his name last, and he's actually pulling down and getting out of that.
The 15 of Cameron Hearn.
That's going to cost him a lot of time.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I think he's been getting more aggressive with saving. I don't know if he's just, saving his stuff up and he's going to race the 14 when the 14 gets there. But, I mean, you could see him on the shot there at the top of your screen. Conor Ocrecman's actually reeling down the leader. It's down to 3.5 seconds now. For the radio, just heard Cameron Hearn. He said it looked like a bad storm was brewing there. Jumped out of it. Isn't it crazy how racing works, right? I mean, it looked like nothing could go wrong for the 15. He had a huge lead. And then all of a sudden he's in a 3-wide pack with lap cars. I mean, just like that. It happened out of nowhere.
Well, you never know, man. 2 laps down from right now, I mean, they could be piled up in turn 3 and Hearn miss it because he pulled out of that. Or if he didn't pull out of it, 2 laps later, he could be piled in it and be buried 20th, 3 laps down. You never know.
I'm looking on the track. You see the 14 there, Conor Ocrecman. He actually pitted 1 lap after the 15 of Cameron Hearn, so he should have a little bit more fuel in that race car and also should have a lap less on his tires. And it's cut the lead now under 3 seconds, Ryan.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, if he can get behind that 15 right there and push him and cause him to use up some more fuel, this might get interesting right here at the end.
The hard part for me to decipher right now is if the 15 is still saving fuel or if the 14 is just that much quicker. I don't see the 15, clutching it in like we saw earlier on in the night. Those RPMs are staying high. But that 14 car, he is really coming in a hurry. I mean, he's only 2.5 seconds back. You see the 39 of Kyle Sieg right behind our race leader. He's 1 lap down. So it looks like he's going to get around him.
Something interesting. I don't know if it's written down in the book of rules. That's a Conor Ocrecman teammate right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, he could hassle this 15 right here, cause him some problems. Racing near him and racing close or whatnot, getting his lap back. And
but I was wondering as well.
Could be right back in this.
I was wondering as well if the 39 stays racing the 15 here. Of course, as we say this, he goes right by him. But look at that, 15's back to clutching it in the corners. I don't know if he's comfortable on fuel. We only got 13 laps to go.
Yeah, and I'm not sure Ocrecman's not backed it down as well. He's kind of stabled out just a little bit.
These guys pitted, like I said, the 15 pitted on lap 86, which would make it a 45-lap run to the end. 14 right behind him pitted on lap 87, 1 lap later, which would make it a 44-lap run to the end. We saw Kyle Sieg on the first run, the number 39 car. He stretched it out to 45 laps, but he did run out of fuel on that last lap. With Ocrecman being 1 lap, pitting 1 lap after with 44 to go, eventually he's good to go on fuel. And I mean, it's going to be close. He's still chopping into that lead. It's down to 1.5 seconds now. The 14 is going to get there. 0.4 seconds. Now it's 1.3 seconds as they work off of turn 4.
Once he gets a sniff of that draft, he's going to get in even faster.
The 15 is the bright yellow machine you'll see right in front of the 14 here. It's down to 1.1 with the 15, clutching it in the corners like that. He's given up a lot of time, but I don't think he'd be doing that if he didn't think he had a shot at it. I think the 15 car must think he's really going to be short on fuel. He's been clutching it in the corners almost this entire run. See no clutch there on the 14 machine. But like I documented a little bit earlier, Kyle Sieg went 45 laps on fuel, and the 14 here, he pitted with 44 laps to go, so shouldn't be in the green, I would assume so. The lead's kind of picked back up though, Ryan, if you caught that. The Cameron Hearn machine picked it up once again. It's back up to 1.2 seconds nearly now. The 14 was reeling them in, and there you see the last laps. Yeah, 10th quicker for the 14 car. Looks like he's not saving no more either. We'll get, here we go. We'll get a good picture here when they hit the stripe as terms of the lap times. Hearn with a 35.7. Kresick with a 35.2. Okay. Margin now is less than a second between the 15 and the 14. They're almost in the same shot for the first time tonight. Oh, Kresick. We saw it earlier, Ryan. He was 10 seconds back at one point.
Yep. It's still running some of the fastest lap times, but he was just so far out of reach, it felt like.
Look at the run he's got here coming off of turn 4. He's finally in the draft, like you were saying there on the 15. 8 laps to go. Ocrecman hunting down the leader, Cameron Hearn, here at Homestead.
How about this, bud? We got us a race. It's on.
Have us a race indeed, man. I cannot believe that the 14 was able to cut that margin down. Go out of turn 2, the 14 with a huge run on the high side of the track. He's going to look to the bottom of Cameron Hearn. New leader here with 8 to go in Miami. It's the 14 of Conor Ocrecman.
Well, me, myself, I am not used to this as we got Hearn coming back around the outside of him.
Hey, look at that. Now Hearn's going to fire back. Yeah, okay. Hearn with a huge run through 3 and 4 on the top.
We'll see how Ocrecman responds.
Ocrecman settles back in line, 2 tenths behind our race leader, Cameron Hearn. 7 laps to go.
Did Cameron Hearn flip the switch or something?
That's what I'm wondering. He's like, took off again. He saved fuel and saved tires until literally the 14 got to him, and then he pushed it back on. We'll have to take a look at the lap times this time, but obviously you can see it on your screen. The 15 is substantially further ahead than where he was just a lap ago. His lap times for Cameron Hearn at 34.9, which is by far the quickest we've seen in the last handful of laps for him.
He's the fastest car on the racetrack on the oldest tires.
I think he was fooling with us maybe there, Ron, trying to make it a little interesting. Because I mean, you saw it. The 14 got underneath him, and it was like he kicked it into high gear.
Trying to tease us with a little race. Now he's put it back in high gear, looking like he's going to try to set sail with this one.
Got the lap car there, the 13 of Andrew Player. Player's going to run the top, allow Cameron Hearn to get around him on the bottom. Lap time once again, 34.9 for Hearn, 35.3 for Ocrecman. So that lead that was dwindled down from 10 seconds back to a battle for the lead now is up to over a second advantage now for Cameron Hearn.
You got to think the 14 probably used this stuff up, running him down.
How is the 14 going to be good? I mean, we still have the whole situation regarding fuel, right? I would assume 15 of Cameron Hearn has to be good just as much as we've seen him saving. But now the question comes into play for the 14 of Kresick. Is he going to be good on fuel? With over, I mean, these guys are going to be working 45 laps on a fuel run. That's going to be really, really close. Hearn not saving anymore on that number 15. He's got 58 laps led with 4 laps to go here at Homestead. He is the leader as he works it off of turn number 2.
See what he's got here. We'll go nuts if that 15 runs out.
That would be insane. But like I said, with the amount of saving we've seen him doing, I mean, we saw him saving more than anybody else in the field. Built that margin back up to 1.3 seconds now. Make that 1.4 over Conor Ocrecman. Christensen has worked his way up to 3rd. And how about Nicholas Trader in 4th? Rafe Slate rounding out the top 5.
There's a couple laps there. There's a couple laps there that Trader was the fastest car on the racetrack.
56, he's put on an impressive performance tonight. See the 14 just ahead of these 2 lap cars we're watching. The 56, though, in 4th. One of the guys for One Mind to Design, he's put together a pretty impressive run, and all of a sudden he's found himself in the top 5. I mean, at one point, though, we were talking about him being outside the top 20, Ryan, and that's quite the rebound to get back up inside the top 5 when it's all said and done.
Sure.
Front, though, Cameron Hearn just now crossed the stripe. Only 2 laps to go for him. We'll have to keep an eye and see if he's good to go on fuel or what his situation will be. While we're watching the 54 here, side of fighting. The 14 now of Conor Ocrecman working off of turn 2. There you see Garrett Grant, one of the lap cars on the outside. Kresick now working into turn 3. Our second place car, though, up front, coming out of turn 4. The 14 of Cameron Hearn seems to be okay on fuel. We'll have to see. It could be an interesting last lap here in a few seconds, Ryan. We've got 1 to go here at Homestead in the Lodgebox Series, race number 2 for Cameron Hearn, presented by 1 to Go Studios. You riding on board? Well, go ahead.
We fully expected it this year to see this guy step up to the plate and attack the area Lodgebox series as he heads into 3 and 4. For the call on this one, go ahead.
Don't see any fuel saving, or I don't think he's running out of fuel. That thing still kicked into high gear since he was battling with the 14. Coming out of turn 4, checkered flag, Cameron Hearn wins at Homestead. Cressick, good on fuel to the end. He's going to take home the second spot. Rick Christensen with third. But up front, Cameron Hearn with the victory and another caution-free race here of week 2. Cressick, I see a few comments coming in. He said, didn't think that Hearn could make it. It was running up his tires trying to get to him. Hearn now bringing it down to the front straightaway. He's going to burn it down, light him up on the Homestead Miami Speedway front stretch. That Lordstown Motors Toyota Supra is going to go to victory lane.
How about him having fuel to do burnouts too?
He saved plenty. Saved plenty of fuel. Listening into the drivers, everybody congratulating Cameron Hearn on his victory as he's working the outside of the wall here through turn 3. I feel for Alan Ellwood, though. A 17th place finish is not indicative of the 49's performance tonight.
Can Cameron make it around on a Polish victory lap?
If
fuel is very low.
Still under power here.
We'll get a chance to talk.
Negative 78 miles an hour. I don't know how that works.
He's going backwards.
iRacing smarter than we realize, huh?
About the move, though. I mean, Cameron Hearn got around Alan Ellwood right before halfway on the race and didn't look back since. He had to save some fuel. There was a little late race drama between him and the 14. Get a chance to talk to him and the rest of our top 3 finishers as well. We're going to start with the 19th, though, of Rick Christensen. Hopefully we're able to hear him tonight and he can hear us. Hey, Rick, it's Jacob Bell, Ryan Swan, and Harold up in the booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Glad to talk to you. You had a good run on Monday night, a top 3 there. It's going to be another top 3 here tonight in the Lodgebox series. 3rd place run. Talk us through your race.
Wow, I can't believe it. First thing, I need to apologize to Garrett Grant. I ruined his race earlier in the race, so I want to make sure I apologize to him. I just got a little loose going around on some fresh tires, and I had to slam the brakes on, and he was behind me. But yeah, I'm really surprised. I was really skeptical joining the Xfinity League because there's so many fast guys, and but no, I just I don't know. I had a good race. I just hit my marks lap after lap, and I don't know, things worked out.
I don't think you're quite giving yourself enough credit there. You're obviously one of the quicker guys here in this league. You had a great performance Monday night. I think you did back it up tonight, but talk to us about, racing these guys like Cameron Hearn, like Alan Ellwood, Conor Ocrecman, and Garrett Grant. I mean, these are some of the best that we've seen here in this league, and it's some stiff competition out there, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's very intimidating racing against those guys. Like I said, I usually just run Xfinity or ARC and truck. So, and I know how fast them guys are. I've watched them a lot, and actually Cameron helps me out a lot. He's helped me with some of my steering settings. And I pick his brain. I picked his brain yesterday prior to this race. So
I was going to talk about that. I know you mentioned, asking, Cameron Hearn and getting the chance to talk to him and pick his brain. I saw the comment also about picking Garrett Heath's brain. It made me laugh a little bit.
Yeah, you got to admit that's kind of hard to do.
Well,
although you got to think about how maybe I'm not too smart neither joining up with him. So
well, a 3rd place run though. You look great out there tonight, man. Is there any shout outs you want to give before we let you go?
Of course, I want to thank Garrett, his Team Infinite, RB Custom Rigs. Want to thank Lodgebox. I want to thank all the admins. I'm really impressed with this new league. want to thank the broadcast crew. You guys are awesome. And everyone in ARIA that made this league possible.
Appreciate it, Rick, man. It's honestly, it's an honor to have you here, and congrats on a third place run.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Feels like a dream maybe. So thank you.
We'll talk to you next week, Rick.
All right. Thank you.
Rick Christensen, our third place finisher. Then we're going to get to our second place driver, Conor Ocrecman, who made a run there at the end. We thought maybe he had a chance to get up there, and then it looked like the 15 just kicked it into high gear out of nowhere. But Conor, it was a really strong run for you tonight, man.
Oh yeah, definitely would have liked to win. I'm a competitor. I don't like finishing second, but I mean, Cameron ran a really, really good race. I didn't think he had enough fuel by my calculations. I slid through my pit box the first run, so there went my there. that's what cost me my 2 seconds. As I slid through my pit box, my fault. But man, he ran a really, really great race. I mean, that was absolutely textbook. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, freaking besides, thanks all my sponsors for funding me.
I wanted to ask you what went into your decision making versus a two pit stop race versus a 3 pit stop race. We saw a lot of guys kind of split the field on how many times they wanted to come down pit road.
Yeah, I called all the strategy for my team pretty much, and I was like, we need to be able to make it to lap 44 on the first stop, or we're not going to make it. And that was my decision. If I didn't think I was going to be able to make it to lap 44, I would have split it. I'd have split it at 33 like Ricky did. But I was able to make it to lap 30 or 44 and had a pretty clean race, stayed out of trouble, and wound up second.
I seen the first round of pit stops. You guys kind of looked like you guys had something formulated. You guys were kind of rotating the lead between you and Rafe and Kyle at the beginning of the, I guess, pit stops for you guys. Getting that bonus point, was that something you guys kind of focused on? Was trying to get every point you can get?
It wasn't initially, but they backed off and saved more fuel. So at the end, we kind of did say, hey, let's just do this just to get a couple extra points. Just, you never know when it's going to matter. I mean, you see in real life, the cup cars, it comes down between 1 point a lot of times. So we would like those extra points when we can get them. And they weren't going to win the race. They went a little bit too slowly to start off, which man, I wish they wouldn't have done that. I'd have like go slow to finish up in the top 5, but it happens. You can't win everything. We'll come back for next race and hopefully finish 1 through 3.
Right, man. So congratulations on second. Give a shout out to your sponsors and your guys if you want to. Go ahead.
Just Cito, Solid Rock Performance. I mean, that's about it on the car, unless other people want to chip in. I mean,
Spread the word for you.
Yeah, that's always nice, man. One of the fastest cars tonight. Once again, Conor, congratulations on second place.
All right, thank you.
Conor Ocrecman. And now, time to get to our race winner tonight, the 15 of Cameron Hearn. Almost won the Area 500 last week on Thursday night, but you get it done tonight with a strategy-filled race at Homestead. How did you work through it all, and were you saving fuel there at the end, or when the 14 got to you, it looked like it was kind of kicked it into high gear?
Yeah, it was a great race. First one was give a shout out to Alan. Me and him ran 1-2 majority part of the race, and I started clutching the second run, and I told him I was saving fuel, and I think he started saving a little bit, but I don't think he was saving as aggressive as me. And he ran out of gas, but I felt like it had been a battle between us. But I couldn't pull up. I'm only driving with one hand. I had surgery in my left hand, so I couldn't pull up my fuel. So I had to relay. Luckily, Brad Slaughter popped in tonight, and he was like, how many gallons you got? How many gallons you got? And you can tell me how many laps, So I couldn't see my information. But he helped me. He was like, man, if you clutch at this run, you'll make it. So I took his advice, and pretty much when he got to me, I was like, you know what? I thought he had fresher tires than me, and I just kind of went for it. And then I didn't get a low fuel thing to come into the white flag, so I knew it was in the good. But just hats off to to Conor. He had me worried there. He was coming fast. I was saving aggressive because I didn't know how much I needed to save. And shout out to Shane, another VRA member. He was running third. He did a 3-stop strategy. He came home I think 5th or 6th tonight, so that's a good run for the team. Just hit it for Alan, and also give a shout out for Rick for coming home third. He's been real consistent, and it's good to see him on the podium.
Oh yeah, we seen something early in the race between you and Alan, kind of working together. It looked like to pull away. Was that something you guys had formulated together, trying to work together and get away from everybody, or what was going on there?
Yeah, it's just so hard to pass somebody, and Alan was so fast, but our lines were completely different. I could drive it into the corner a lot deeper, and he can get the run off, and then that's really bad if you want to pass somebody, right? And I don't want to take a chance to get into him. And I saw that we were kind of gapping the field a little bit, so I was like, you know what? I'm content with riding. And Alan, the first run was actually a little bit faster in the long run. The arrow, especially on tires where it gets super tight close behind somebody, so I kind of stalled out 0.8 of a second back, and was kind of content with that. I think he got loose one time on that second run, and I just went for it. And when I got in clean air, it really made a huge difference. And after that, I started trying to save, try to make sure I could get it to the finish.
Any shout outs you want to give, Cameron?
Yeah, man, I want to thank all of our sponsors, Lodgebox, Swift Lifestyle, Sim Speed Shop, Northern Capital. Appreciate all those guys jumping on board for the first inaugural season. I'm excited. There's a lot of great racing. It's so cool to see strategy come into play. I feel like every race so far, doesn't matter if we're at Daytona or here, when to pit, when not to pit, what kind of fuel. You guys on the broadcast, I already got people texting me how, awesome the broadcast looks on Twitch. I really appreciate that. Also appreciate the admins who take their time out to do race control. I was glad that we didn't have too many accidents or incidents happen tonight. So this is a shout out to everybody who's behind the scenes to makes this happen. I'm really looking forward to continuing the momentum, and just give a shout out to my mom and dad watching this, and my wife Ashley, and just all the guys show up week in, week out. We couldn't do without them, and I'm just excited for what the season's in store.
All right, man. Well, congratulations once again in victory lane. It's Cameron Hearn.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cameron Hearn, our race winner here tonight. Ellwood Designs race recap for race 2 here at Homestead. Cameron Hearn taking home the victory. I think I said Cameron. It's Cameron Hearn. 62 laps led. How about 0 cautions for this Lodgebox series? In 2 weeks, they've had a total of 1 caution at Daytona and Homestead. Pretty impressive. 2 drivers, and the fastest lap going to the 49 of Alan Ellwood with a 33.35. I think we saw him run that after he made that pit road error, running out of fuel. I think that kind of gassed him up, was able to get him, kick it into high gear, and make that quick lap possible. But taking a look at our entire results here tonight, Cameron Hearn getting the victory with Conor Ocrecman, Rick Christensen, Nicholas Trader, and Rafe Slate rounding out our top 5.
We also have Shane Theron, Chris Seidenfaden, Ricky Springer, Kyle Sieg, and Garrett Grant all collecting a top 10. Rebound
there for Garrett Grant to be able to work his way back up to the top 10. Jordan Berry with a nice debut. It's going to finish 11th. Robertson's going to come home 12th. Michael Larch 13th. Wayne Doyle finishes 14th. And Brian Dixon comes home 15th.
Some guys with some early issues. Chris Bouchard, I think he just got a little bit behind on pit strategy. Comes home 16th. Alan Ellwood, obviously running out of fuel. Comes home 17th. Not what the stat sheet should show on that one. Andrew Player in 18th. Dean Prince in 19th. Ryan Honeycutt, after that big accident on the front stretch with Shane Wolf, comes home 20th.
Shane Wolf, like you mentioned there, and Reed Wilson are 2 early retirees from a nice race. But that'll pretty much wrap us up here from Homestead, Miami for the Lodgebox series. Make sure you guys join us tomorrow night right here on this Twitch channel at 8:40 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be the Sim Speed Shop Cup series. We got 140 laps scheduled. It's going to be an awesome race. And if it's anything like we've seen this past week, I think we're in for quite the show. For Harold Darner, our producer, and my buddy Ryan Swan hopping up in the booth with us. And I want to say thank you to everybody viewing and tuning in over here on Twitch. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night for the Sim Speed Shop Cup series.
What an exciting race brought to you by Wendigo Studios. Here they come out of turn 4 to the white flag, and it's 1 to go. Thank you to all our sponsors, drivers, and viewers. We'll see you at the next turn.